The news spread through Galactic Coalition Station Veritas like fire through dry grass. Vorak was coming. The Unbroken himself would walk their corridors within hours. Tila watched from her post near the docking bay as hundreds of beings gathered. She had served on the station for 3 years, and she had never seen such excitement. Species that normally avoided each other now stood shoulder to shoulder, all waiting for the same thing. "Is it true?" a young Kellen asked someone beside him. "Is he really coming here?" "The shuttle confirmed his arrival," came the reply. "Vorak, the one who killed the beast of Morin, the one who crushed the rebellion of Seven Suns." Tila's compound eyes took in the crowd. She was an insectoid, small compared to most species on the station. Her people were known for watching and recording. They were historians by nature. And today, she knew, would be history worth recording. Vorak was a legend, not the kind of legend that fades with time. He was the kind that grows larger with each telling. For 200 cycles, he had walked through battles and emerged without defeat. Champions had challenged him from a dozen worlds. All had fallen. Some had died. The lucky ones simply never fought again. The Kellen species were warriors by blood. They stood 8 feet tall, covered in scales harder than most metals. Their strength was unmatched in known space, and among all Kellen, Vorak stood above the rest. The docking bay doors opened with a hiss. The crowd fell silent. He stepped through, and Tila understood why empires feared him. Vorak was massive even by Kellen standards. His scales were dark green, almost black, covered in scars that told stories of violence most beings could not imagine. His eyes were yellow, cold, and they swept across the crowd like a predator surveying prey. Behind him walked 4 Kellen guards, but they seemed small next to their master. Vorak did not need guards. Everyone knew this. The guards were there for ceremony, nothing more. Commander Rel stepped forward to greet him. The station commander was a 4-armed amphibian, calm and careful in all things. He bowed his head slightly. "Welcome to Station Veritas, honored Vorak. We are grateful for your presence." Vorak's mouth stretched into something that might have been a smile. "Commander, your station is small, but it will serve for the negotiations." It was not a compliment. Tila recorded the words anyway. The crowd parted as Vorak walked through them. Beings stepped back, some lowering their eyes. A few brave ones reached out, hopping to touch the legend as he passed. Vorak ignored them all. Tila followed at a distance, moving along the upper walkways where she could observe without being noticed. She was good at not being noticed. Her kind always were. On the observation deck above the main corridor, she spotted a human standing alone. His name was Kang Yi. Tila knew him from the engineering section. He was quiet, skilled with machines, and kept mostly to himself. He was not watching Vorak's procession below. Instead, he stood at the window, looking out at the stars. Tila approached carefully. She had learned that humans sometimes wanted company when they looked sad, and sometimes they wanted to be alone. It was hard to tell which. "You are not watching the arrival," she said. "Most of the station is down there." Kang Yi turned his head slightly. His face was hard to read. Human faces always were. "I saw him," he said. "He is big, that is all." "He is more than big. He is Vorak the Unbroken." "I know who he is." Tila moved closer to the window. Below them, the crowd still buzzed with excitement. Vorak had disappeared into the diplomatic wing, but his presence remained like a weight on the station. "You seem troubled," Tila said. "Forgive me if I am wrong. I am still learning human expressions." Kang Yi was silent for a long moment. His hand moved to his chest, where something hung beneath his uniform. A pendant, perhaps. Tila had seen him touch it before, always when he seemed lost in thought. "6 months ago," he said finally, "there was a reactor breach in Section 12. You remember." Tila remembered. It had been serious. 47 beings had been trapped when the containment failed. The radiation would have killed them all within minutes. I remember, there was a rescue. A human woman sealed the breach from inside. Yunari, Kang Yi said. The name came out soft like something precious. She was my friend, my closest friend. She saved 47 lives. Yes, and she died doing it. The radiation killed her before the rescue teams arrived. She knew it would. She went in anyway. Tila was quiet. She had recorded the incident, of course. A human female, age 32, had manually sealed the breach when the automated systems failed. She had absorbed a lethal dose of radiation in under 3 minutes. By the time the doors opened, she was already gone. I am sorry, Tila said. It was what humans said to each other. She hoped she said it correctly. Kang Yi nodded but did not look at her. Do you know what the coalition gave her? A plaque. Small metal stuck on a wall in a corridor that nobody walks through. No ceremony. No recognition. Just a plaque and a report that said human medic deceased. He finally turned to face her. His eyes were dry, but there was something burning behind them. Something that made Tila want to step back. Down there, he said, they celebrate a killer. They push and crowd just to see him walk past. He has spent 200 cycles ending lives and they call him a legend. His voice did not rise. It stayed flat, controlled. Somehow that made it worse. Nari spent her life saving people. She gave everything to protect strangers, and the galaxy forgot her in a week. Tila did not know what to say. She was a recorder of history, but she had never thought about who history chose to remember. Vorak's name would live forever. Nari's name would fade. It did not seem fair, but history was rarely fair. Perhaps, Tila said carefully, those who knew her will remember. Perhaps that is enough. Kang Yi reached into his uniform and pulled out the pendant. It was simple, a small circle of metal with something carved into it. Tila could not read the human symbols. It says together always, Kang Yi said. She gave it to me the day before she died. She said as long as I kept it, she would never really be gone. He tucked the pendant back against his chest. I remember her, he said, every day, but it is not enough. It will never be enough. From somewhere below, cheering erupted. Vorak had appeared on a balcony to wave at his admirers. The sound of applause rolled through the station like thunder. Kang Yi turned back to the window, and the silent stars beyond. He takes lives and becomes a legend, he said quietly. She gave her life and became a footnote. Tell me, Tila, what does that say about the galaxy we live in? Tila had no answer. She recorded the question anyway because some questions were worth remembering, even without answers. The celebration continued below. The legend basked in glory. And somewhere in a forgotten corridor, a small metal plaque gathered dust, bearing the name of someone who had been truly brave. Kang Yi stayed at the window until the crowd dispersed. Tila stayed with him, silent, watching. She did not understand humans fully. Perhaps no one did, but she was beginning to understand that they carried their dead with them in ways other species did not. It was both beautiful and terrifying. And she had a feeling that before Vorak left this station, she would learn much more about what humans were capable of when the ones they loved were dishonored. The stars continued to burn in the darkness. The station hummed with life, and somewhere inside Kang Yi something waited, something patient, something that would not forget. The banquet hall of Station Veritas had never looked so grand. Floating lights drifted near the ceiling, casting soft colors across the gathered crowd. Tables stretched in long rows, covered with foods from dozens of worlds. The air itself seemed to hum with importance. Commander Rel had spared no expense. When you hosted a living legend, you made sure the galaxy noticed. Tila found her seat at a table near the back, where observers and minor diplomats were placed. She did not mind. From here she could see everything, and tonight, she suspected, there would be much to see. Vorak sat at the center of the high table, taking up space meant for 3 beings. His yellow eyes moved slowly across the room, taking measure of everyone present. When he found someone worthy of his attention, he would nod. When he did not, he simply looked past them as if they were furniture. Around him, representatives from a dozen species competed for his notice. They laughed at his jokes, agreed with his opinions, and told him how honored they were to breathe the same air. Tila found it exhausting to watch. The human delegation sat at a table near the middle of the hall. There were only 5 of them on the station. Humans were still new to the galactic community, still proving themselves. Most species considered them unremarkable. They were not strong like the Kellen. They were not fast like the Savari. They were not wise like the ancient Moor. They were simply there, taking up space, doing their small jobs. Kang Yi sat at the end of the human table, eating little and speaking less. Park Su sat beside him. She was a pilot, sharp and quick, with eyes that missed nothing. Tila had spoken with her once. She was protective of her people in a way that reminded Tila of mother insects guarding their young. The feast continued. Courses came and went. Wine and stranger drinks flowed freely. And Vorek talked. He told stories of battles won. He described enemies crushed beneath his feet. He spoke of the rebellion of 7 suns, where he had broken the spine of the rebel leader with his bare hands. The crowd gasped and applauded at all the right moments. The weak exist to serve the strong, Vorek declared, lifting a massive goblet. This is the law of the universe. Those who cannot fight cannot survive. Those who cannot survive do not deserve to. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the hall. Not everyone agreed, Tila noticed, but no one disagreed out loud. No one dared. A Kellen diplomat raised his glass. To strength, and to Vorek, the strongest of us all. The room echoed the toast. Even some humans lifted their glasses, though Tila noticed that Kang Yi did not. As the evening wore on, the conversation drifted to station matters. Commander Rel spoke of recent upgrades, successful missions, problems solved. He was careful to paint everything in positive colors. No commander wanted to look weak in front of Vorak. But someone at a nearby table mentioned the reactor breach. A terrible incident, they said. We nearly lost an entire section. Vorak turned his head, interested. Tell me more, I heard there were deaths. Commander Rel shifted in his seat. 1 death, a human medic. She sealed the breach manually when our systems failed, saved 47 lives. 47, Vorak seemed to consider this, and she died. Yes, the radiation was too strong. Vorak was silent for a moment, then he laughed. It was not a cruel laugh at first. It sounded almost confused, like someone who had heard a joke they did not understand. But as the laugh continued, it grew colder. She died, Vorak said, sealing a door. This is what humans call heroism. The room grew quiet. Tila felt the shift in the air. Something was about to happen. She made a choice, Commander Rel said carefully. She could have fled, she stayed. And died for it. Where is the victory in that? Vorak shook his head. I have heard stories about humans, that they are soft, that they care too much for the weak among them. I did not believe it until now. He looked around the room, making sure everyone was listening. A true warrior survives. A true warrior wins. This human female, she did not win. She did not survive. She simply died slowly for strangers. He waved his massive hand dismissively. This is not heroism. This is waste. The foolish sacrifice of a creature too weak to find another way. Tila saw Kang Yi's hands go still on the table. Beside him, Park Su had stopped breathing. Vorak continued, unaware or uncaring of the effect his words had. Humans mourn too long. They carry their dead like weights around their necks. It makes them slow. It makes them stupid. In my culture, we burn the weak and move forward. We do not build monuments to those who could not survive. He drank deeply from his goblet. Your human medic, she was nothing. She will be forgotten within a generation. The galaxy does not remember the weak, no matter how many doors they seal while dying. Silent, complete and total silence. Tila watched Kang Yi. His face had not changed. That was the strange part. Any other being might have shown anger, shock, grief. But Kang Yi simply sat there, still as stone, his hands flat on the table. Then slowly, he set down his utensils. The small sound seemed very loud in the quiet room. Yi Park-soo whispered, "Don't." He did not respond. He simply pushed back his chair and stood. The room noticed. How could they not? A single human rising in a hall full of warriors and diplomats, after the greatest warrior alive had just finished speaking. Kang Yi walked forward. He did not hurry. He did not slow. He simply walked one step at a time toward the high table where Vorak sat. The Kellen guards moved to intercept him, but Vorak waved them back. His eyes were bright with amusement. This was something new, something entertaining. "The little human approaches," Vorak said. "Have you come to defend your dead friend, to tell me how brave she was?" Kang Yi stopped 10 feet from the table. He was small compared to the Kellen. He would have to look almost straight up to meet Vorak's eyes, but he did not look up. He kept his eyes level, looking at the legend's chest. "Her name," Kang Yi said, "was Yunari." His voice was quiet, not loud enough to carry through the hall, but somehow everyone heard. She was not weak. She was not foolish. She made a choice that you will never understand because you have never loved anything more than yourself. Vorak's amusement flickered. "Careful, small one. You speak to Vorak the Unbroken. I have killed beings for less than this. I know who you are. The whole galaxy knows. You are a legend, undefeated, unbroken." Kang Yi paused. "You are also a coward." The hall gasped. Tila found herself leaning forward, her compound eyes locked on the scene. Vorak rose from his seat. Standing, he was more than twice Kang Yi's height. His shadow fell over the human like a mountain blocking the sun. "A coward," he repeated. His voice had lost all amusement. "You call me a coward?" "Yes, because only a coward mocks the dead. Only a coward attacks those who cannot defend themselves. Nari cannot answer you, so you feel safe to say whatever you wish about her." Kang Yi finally looked up, meeting those yellow eyes. "But I can answer, and I will." "You?" Vorak laughed again, but this time there was no humor in it. "What will you do, human? Challenge me. I would break you in half before you could blink." "Then break me," Kang Yi said. "I invoke the right of answer." The words fell like bombs. Tila nearly dropped her recording device. Around her, beings of every species whispered in shock. The right of answer, an ancient Kellen tradition. When one being's honor was insulted, they could invoke the right and demand combat. And by Kellen law, the challenger could not be refused without the other party admitting dishonor. It had not been used against Vorak in over 100 cycles. Those who had tried were all dead. Vorak stared down at the human. For the first time, his expression showed something other than amusement or contempt, something like surprise. "You know our customs," he said slowly. "I studied them. I knew this day might come." "You knew nothing. You could not have known I would speak of your dead friend." Kang Yi shook his head. "No, but I knew that eventually someone would, and I promised myself that when they did I would answer." Vorak looked at the human for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Very well, little human. I accept your right of answer. Tomorrow, at the setting of the station's lights, we will meet in the combat arena, and I will show the galaxy what happens to those who challenge the unbroken." He sat back down and reached for his goblet, as if the matter was already settled. Kang Yi turned and walked back to his table. Park-soo grabbed his arm as he sat down. Her face was pale. "Are you insane?" she hissed. "He will kill you. You cannot win this." Kang Yi looked at her, and for the first time, something like peace crossed his features. "Maybe," he said, "but Nari's name will be remembered now. Whatever happens, they will remember her name." Tila recorded every word. Tomorrow, she would witness something that had not happened in a century. A human would face the unbroken. And somehow, against all logic, Tila found herself hoping the human would win. The banquet ended in confusion. Beings whispered to each other as they filed out of the hall. Tila heard fragments of conversation as she moved through the crowd. Impossible. Suicide. What was he thinking? No one could believe what they had witnessed. A human, a simple engineer, had challenged the greatest warrior the galaxy had ever known. It was not brave. It was madness. Commander Rel called an emergency meeting in his office. Tila was not invited, but her position as a recorder gave her access to many places. She found a quiet corner and waited. The human delegation arrived first. Kang Yi walked in calmly as if nothing unusual had happened. Park Su stayed close to him, her face tight with worry. The other three humans trailed behind, still in shock. Commander Rel entered next, his 4 arms folded across his chest. His amphibian face was impossible to read, but his voice carried clear frustration. "Do you understand what you have done?" he asked Kang Yi. "The right of answer is binding. There is no way to cancel it, no appeal, no withdrawal." "I understand," Kang Yi said. "You will die, you know this, yes. Vorek has killed champions from a dozen worlds, warriors trained since birth, beings with natural weapons, armor, strength beyond human capability, and you are an engineer." "I know what I am." Commander Rel made a sound of frustration. "Then why? Why throw your life away for a dead woman who cannot benefit from your sacrifice?" Kang Yi was silent for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft but firm. "Because someone had to answer. Nari gave everything for strangers. The least I can do is give everything for her." "This is sentiment. This is emotion. It is not strategy." "No," Kang Yi agreed. "It is not." Commander Rel stared at him. Tila could see the commander struggling to understand. His species valued logic, calculation, careful planning. The idea of dying for something as simple as honor was foreign to him. "I cannot stop this," Commander Rel finally said, "but I want it recorded that I advised against it, strongly." "Record whatever you wish," Kang Yi said. "I made my choice, I will stand by it." The meeting ended. The humans left. Commander Rel sat alone in his office for a long time, staring at nothing. Tila followed the humans back to their quarters. She wanted to understand. She needed to understand. Park Su caught her following and stopped. Her eyes were red, but she had not been crying. Some humans made their eyes red through anger, Tila knew. "You are the recorder," Park Su said, "the one who watches everything." "I am Tila, yes." "Are you here to record his last night? To document the foolish human who threw his life away?" "I am here because I do not understand," Tila said honestly. "And when I do not understand, I watch, I listen, I learn." Park Su studied her for a long moment, then something in her face softened. "Come with me," she said. "Maybe you should understand before tomorrow." They walked to the human quarters, a small section of the station that always seemed warmer than everywhere else. Humans liked warmth, Tila had noticed. They surrounded themselves with soft things and warm lights, as if they were always fighting against the cold of space. Kang Yi sat in the common area, holding the pendant from beneath his uniform. He did not look up when they entered. "Tell her," Park Su said. "Tell her about Nari, she should know." Kang Yi was quiet for a while, then he began to speak. "I met Nari when I first came to the station, 3 years ago. I was lost, scared, far from home. She found me standing in a corridor, staring at a map I could not read." A small smile crossed his face at the memory. "She laughed at me, not cruelly, just laughed because I looked so confused. Then she took my hand and walked me to my quarters. She did not have to, we had never met, but she saw someone who needed help and she helped." He turned the pendant over in his hands. That was who she was. She saw someone in pain and she moved toward them, not away, never away. The The doctors called it her gift, the ability to make anyone feel safe just by being there. You loved her, Tila said. Kang Yi looked up. Yes, not the way you might think. We were not romantic. We were something deeper. She was my family when my real family was light years away. She was my home when the station felt like a cold metal prison. He stood and walked to the window. The stars were visible, scattered across the darkness like spilled light. When the reactor breach happened, I was in engineering, monitoring the systems. I heard the alarms. I saw the containment failing. And I knew, somehow I just knew, that Nari would be the one to respond. His voice grew tight. I ran to Section 12. I ran as fast as I have ever run. But by the time I got there, the doors were sealed. She was already inside, already dying. Park Soo put her hand on his shoulder. Kang Yi continued. I watched through the window. I watched her crawl to the manual controls. I watched her seal the breach with her bare hands while her skin burned. I watched her look at me one last time before her eyes closed. He touched the pendant against his chest. She smiled. At the end, she smiled. Because she knew she had saved them, 47 strangers, and to her that was worth everything. The room was silent. Tila found that her recording was shaking slightly. Her hands were not steady. After she died, Kang Yi said, I waited for the recognition, the honors, the ceremonies, but they never came. The station filed a report. The coalition issued a small payment to her family, and everyone moved on. He turned to face Tila. I went to Commander Rel. I asked for a proper memorial. He said resources were limited. He said there were protocols to follow. He said her sacrifice, while notable, did not meet the criteria for special recognition. His eyes were hard now, hard like the metal walls of the station. She gave her life, and they called it notable, not heroic, not extraordinary, just notable. So when Vorak laughed at her memory, Tila said slowly, it was not just his words you were answering, it was everything. Yes, every dismissal, every forgotten report, every time someone walked past her plaque without reading it. Kang Yi nodded. Vorak gave words to what the galaxy has been saying through its silence, that humans do not matter, that our sacrifices do not matter, that we are small and soft and forgettable. But you cannot defeat him, Tila said. Physically, it is impossible. Maybe, Kang Yi said, but I have studied. For months since Nari died, I have studied Kellan anatomy, their fighting styles, their weaknesses. They have weaknesses. Everything has weaknesses. The Kellan are strong, fast, armored, but they are also proud. They have not faced a true challenge in generations. They expect enemies to fight like warriors, to attack strength with strength. He looked at his own hands, small, fragile, with no claws or scales. Humans are not warriors, we are survivors. For millions of years we hunted prey larger and stronger than ourselves, not by matching their strength, by outlasting them, by refusing to stop until they fell. Park Soo spoke up. On our world we called it persistence hunting. Our ancestors would chase animals across plains for days, not fast, not strong, just relentless. The animals would run and run until their bodies gave out, and the humans would still be coming. Tila processed this information. It was remarkable. No other species in the galactic community had evolved this way. You believe you can outlast Vorak, she said. I believe I can refuse to fall, Kang Yi said. I believe I can take everything he gives and keep getting up. I believe that eventually he will make a mistake, and when he does, I will be ready. And if he does not make a mistake, if he simply kills you before you can act. Kang Yi smiled. It was a sad smile, but real. Then I will die on my feet, defending my friend's honor, and the galaxy will see a human stand against a legend and refuse to break. Maybe that will be enough. Maybe they will remember Nari then as the person who inspired such loyalty. Tila stood in silence for a long time. Then she bowed her head, a gesture of respect among her people. I hope you survive, she said. But if you do not, I will make sure the galaxy remembers. Both of you. Kang Yi nodded. That is all I ask. The night passed slowly. Across the station, beings placed bets on the coming duel. The odds were 1,000 to 1 against the human. Some laughed at the foolishness of the challenge. Others felt uncomfortable, though they could not explain why. And in the human quarters, Kang Yi sat alone, holding a pendant that said, "Together always," preparing to keep a promise that had been made long before Vorak ever came to the station. Tomorrow he would face the unbroken. Tomorrow the galaxy would learn what humans were made of. The combat arena was packed. Beings filled every seat, every standing space, every viewing platform. Those who could not find room inside watched on screens throughout the station. Trade stopped. Work paused. For 1 hour the entire station held its breath. Tila found a place near the front, her recording devices ready. She had documented many things in her life. Battles, treaties, the rise and fall of civilizations. But she had never seen anything like this. The arena was a circle of metal and light, 50 meters across. The floor was scarred from decades of combat. The Kellen used it for their ceremonial duels, settling disputes through blood and pain. It was a sacred place to them. Today, it would witness something unprecedented. Vorak entered first. The crowd erupted in cheers. He raised his massive arms and roared, a sound that shook the walls. His scales gleamed under the arena lights. He wore no armor. He needed none. His body was weapon enough. "The unbroken," someone shouted. "Vorak, Vorak, Vorak." The chant spread through the crowd. He walked to the center of the arena and waited, arms crossed, utterly confident. This would be quick, his posture said. This would barely be worth his time. Then Kang Yi entered. The cheering stopped. The silence was sudden and complete. He looked small. That was what Tila noticed first. Walking across the arena floor, he looked like a child approaching a mountain. He wore simple training clothes, nothing more. No weapons, no armor, just a human alone facing something that had destroyed armies. Park Sue stood at the edge of the arena, her hands pressed against the barrier. Her lips moved in words Tila could not hear. A prayer, perhaps. Humans had many gods. Perhaps she was asking one of them for help. Kang Yi stopped 5 meters from Vorak. He looked up at the legend towering above him. "You came," Vorak said. There was something like respect in his voice, or maybe just surprise. "I thought you might flee in the night." "I gave my word," Kang Yi said. "Words, humans and their words." Vorak shook his head. "Very well, let us end this quickly. I have other matters to attend to." Commander Rel stepped forward, his voice amplified throughout the arena. "This is a right of answer, invoked by Kang Yi of Earth against Vorak of Kellen Prime. The duel ends when one combatant surrenders, loses consciousness, or dies. There are no other rules." He paused, looking at both fighters. "Begin." Vorak moved. He was fast, impossibly fast for something so large. One moment he stood still, the next his fist was flying toward Kang Yi's head with enough force to crack stone. Kang Yi ducked. Barely, the fist passed so close it stirred his hair. He rolled to the side, coming up 3 meters away. Vorak turned, surprised. He had expected the first blow to end it. No one had ever dodged his opening strike. "Quick," Vorak admitted, "but speed will not save you." He attacked again, a series of blows, each one powerful enough to kill. Kang Yi dodged, weaved, stumbled back. He could not block. Blocking one of those strikes would shatter his arms. All he could do was avoid them. The crowd watched in growing confusion. The human was not fighting. He was running, dancing, surviving moment to moment. "Fight me," Vorak roared. "Stand and face me like a warrior." Kang Yi did not answer. He kept moving, kept dodging, kept staying alive. Tila understood. This was his strategy. Do not attack, do not engage, simply survive as long as possible. Make the legend chase him, make the legend work. Vorak grew frustrated. His attacks became wilder, more forceful. He was using more energy than necessary, expecting each blow to be the last. But the human kept slipping away. Then Vorak caught him. A backhand strike, almost casual, caught Kang Yi across the chest. He flew through the air and hit the arena wall hard. The sound of impact made Tila flinch. The crowd gasped, then cheered. This was what they had expected. This was the end. But Kang Yi stood up. Blood ran from his mouth. His arm hung at a wrong angle, probably broken, but he stood. Vorak stared. You should stay down, human. That blow would have killed most beings. Kang Yi wiped the blood from his chin. I have had worse. He had not. Tila knew he had not, but he said it anyway. Vorak attacked again. More blows, more impacts. Kang Yi went down again and again. Each time he got back up. Each time slower, more damaged, but always up. The crowd's cheering faded. What had started as entertainment was becoming something else, something uncomfortable. Why do you keep rising? Vorak demanded. He was breathing harder now. Not tired, not yet, but working harder than he had expected. You cannot win, you must know this. Why do you not surrender? Kang Yi stood on shaking legs. One eye was swollen shut. His broken arm dangled uselessly. Blood soaked his clothes. Because she never gave up, he said. Nari crawled to those controls with her skin burning off. She sealed that breach while her lungs filled with radiation. If she could do that, I can do this. He raised his one good hand. Come on, hit me again. Vorak hit him again, and again, and again. The fight continued. Minutes passed. The arena grew quiet. Even the most bloodthirsty spectators had stopped cheering. Something was happening that none of them understood. The human should have died a dozen times over. He should have surrendered long ago. But he kept getting up, always up, never stopping. Tila recorded everything, but her mind was elsewhere. She was thinking about what the human pilot had said. Persistence hunting, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. The prey was not supposed to fight back. But what if the hunter became the prey? What if the relentless creature chasing you simply refused to stop, no matter what you did? That was what Vorak was facing, not an opponent, an inevitability. Vorak was showing signs of fatigue now. His movements were slower, less precise. He had never fought this long before. His opponents always fell quickly. He had never needed endurance. And Kang Yi was still standing. Barely, impossibly, but standing. What are you? Vorak breathed. Human, Kang Yi said. Vorak swung again, but this time Kang Yi moved differently. He did not dodge. He stepped forward, inside the swing, and drove his good elbow into a spot beneath Vorak's armpit. The Kellen gasped. That was a nerve cluster, Tila realized. Kang Yi had studied. He knew exactly where to strike. Vorak stumbled back, his left arm suddenly weak. He looked at the human with new eyes. You planned this, he said. The dodging, the suffering, you were waiting. Kang Yi said nothing. He attacked again, targeting another nerve cluster in Vorak's thigh. The strike was weak but precise. Vorak's leg buckled. The crowd could not believe what they were seeing. The legend was limping. The unbeatable warrior was being picked apart by a broken, bleeding human. Vorak roared in fury and grabbed Kang Yi by the throat. He lifted the human off the ground and squeezed. Enough, he bellowed. Surrender or die. Kang Yi could not speak. He could not breathe. But his good hand reached up slowly and pressed against another nerve cluster in Vorak's forearm. The grip weakened, not much, but enough. Kang Yi twisted free and fell to the ground. He gasped for air, then slowly, agonizingly climbed back to his feet. Vorak stared at him. The legend was bleeding now too. Small wounds, precise strikes, accumulated damage. His left arm barely functioned. His right leg trembled. His breathing was heavy and ragged. How? Vorak asked. How are you still alive? Kang Yi looked at him through his one good eye. Because I made a promise, he said. Because she deserves to be remembered. Because I will not let you be the last word spoken about her. He limped forward. Every step was agony. Every movement should have been impossible, but he kept coming. Vorak raised his fists, but there was something new in his eyes, something that had not been there before. Fear. Kang Yi struck. One final blow, all his remaining strength focused into a single point. His fist connected with the cluster of nerves at the base of Vorak's skull. The legend's eyes rolled back. His massive body swayed. For a moment he stood frozen. Then he fell. The arena was silent. The entire station was silent. Vorak the Unbroken lay on the ground, unconscious. And Kang Yi stood over him, swaying but upright. Her name, he said, his voice carrying through the silence, was Yun-Nari. Remember it. Then he collapsed. The silence stretched. No one moved, no one breathed. Then from somewhere in the crowd, a human voice began to applaud. Park Soo. Her face was wet with tears, but she was clapping. Another voice joined. Then another. Then beings who were not human began to applaud as well. The sound grew until it was thunder, until it was a storm, until it filled the arena and spilled out into the station, and echoed through the corridors where Nari's small plaque waited to be found. Medical teams rushed onto the arena floor. Both fighters were carried away, both alive, both broken in different ways. Tila lowered her recording devices. Her hands were shaking. She had witnessed many things in her long life, but she had never witnessed anything like this. A human had defeated the Unbroken, not through strength, not through speed, through something else entirely. Through love, through loyalty, through the simple, terrible refusal to stop. She did not fully understand humans. She was not sure anyone did. But she understood one thing now, with absolute certainty. The galaxy would never forget Yun-Nari's name. 3 days passed before Kang Yi opened his eyes. The medical bay was quiet when he woke. Soft lights hummed above him. Machines beeped in steady rhythms. His body felt distant, wrapped in painkillers and healing technology. Park Soo was asleep in a chair beside his bed. She looked exhausted, as if she had not left since he arrived. Kang Yi tried to move and immediately regretted it. Pain flared through his chest, his arm, his everywhere. The machines noticed and adjusted, flooding him with more relief. Easy, a voice said. Tila emerged from a corner of the room, her compound eyes reflecting the dim light. You have 17 fractures, internal bleeding that required 3 surgeries, and nerve damage that will take months to heal. Even by human standards, you should be dead. Kang Yi processed this, but I am not. No, you are not. The doctors say it is a miracle. I say it is stubbornness. Tila moved closer. Your species has a remarkable ability to survive things that should kill you. We are persistent, Kang Yi said, even speaking hurt. Yes, I have learned this. Park Soo stirred awake. When she saw Kang Yi's eyes open, she made a sound that was somewhere between a laugh and a sob. She grabbed his good hand and held it tight. You stupid, brave, impossible fool, she said. I thought you were dead. We all thought you were dead. Sorry to disappoint. She laughed through her tears. Do not ever do anything like that again. I do not plan to. Tila gave them a moment, then spoke again. You should know what has happened while you slept. The station, the galaxy, everything has changed. Kang Yi looked at her. Changed how? The recordings of your fight have spread to every corner of known space. Billions of beings have watched. News networks from 100 worlds have covered the story. Human defeats legend. The fall of the Unbroken. For the love of a friend. She moved to the window, looking out at the stars. But it is not just your victory they speak of. It is what you said, why you fought. The story of Yun-Nari has spread with the recordings. Her sacrifice, your promise, the meaning behind the challenge. Every being who watched now knows her name. Kang Yi closed his eyes. Something tight in his chest loosened just a little. They know her, he said quietly. Yes, commanders, warriors, diplomats, common citizens, they all know. Messages have been arriving at the station for days. Some call you a hero. Some call you inspiring. Some say they will teach their children about what you did and why. Park Su squeezed his hand. You did it, Yi. You made them remember. Kang Yi did not respond for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough. What about Vorek? Tila's expression shifted, though human faces had trouble reading insectoid features. He survived. His injuries were less severe than yours, but his pride suffered greatly. He has refused to speak with anyone since the fight. Is he angry? I do not know. He is quiet. That is unusual for him. A knock came at the door. Commander Rel entered, his forearms folded in a posture of formal respect. Kang Yi, I am pleased to see you awake. He paused, uncomfortable. I have come to apologize. Kang Yi blinked. For what? For not honoring you Nari properly, for dismissing your requests for recognition. I was wrong. I see that now. He unfolded his arms, a gesture of openness among his people. The coalition has reviewed the matter. They have ordered that Yun Nari be given full posthumous honors. Her memorial will be moved to the Hall of Heroes, alongside the greatest figures in station history. Park Su made a small sound of surprise. The Hall of Heroes was reserved for beings who had shaped the course of galactic events. Warriors, leaders, saviors. No human had ever been included. Furthermore, Commander Rel continued, the Coalition has established the Yun Nari Medal of Sacrifice. It will be awarded to any being who gives their life to save others. She is the first recipient. Kang Yi stared at the commander. He did not have words. I should have listened to you, Commander Rel said. I should have seen what was obvious. That sacrifice for others is not weakness. It is the greatest strength any being can show. He bowed his head. Thank you for teaching us this. He left without waiting for a response. Kang Yi lay in silence, processing what he had just heard. A medal with her name, Park Su said softly. Forever. Every time someone receives it, they will speak her name. Yes, Kang Yi said, yes. The days that followed were full of visitors. Beings from across the station came to see the human who had defeated Vorak. They brought gifts, words of praise, questions about how he had done it. Kang Yi answered patiently, but he did not enjoy the attention. He was not a hero in his own mind. He was just someone who had kept a promise. On the 5th day, an unexpected visitor arrived. Vorak stood in the doorway of the medical bay, ducking to fit through the frame. His left arm was in a sling. His right leg moved stiffly, but he stood tall, as legends do. Park Su moved to block him, but Kang Yi shook his head. Let him in. Vorak entered slowly. He did not meet Kang Yi's eyes at first. When he finally did, there was something new in those yellow depths, something that had not been there before the fight. I came to understand, Vorak said. His voice was quiet, not the roaring thunder from the arena. I have been thinking about what you said, what you did. I cannot make sense of it. What part? Kang Yi asked. All of it. You fought for someone who was already dead. You endured pain that should have destroyed you. You sacrificed yourself for nothing more than a name. Vorak shook his head. I have killed many enemies. I have won many victories, but I have never loved anything enough to die for it. He looked at his own hands, massive and scarred. I called her weak, your friend. I said she died foolishly. But now I wonder if perhaps I was the fool. She faced death to save strangers. You faced death to honor her memory. What have I ever faced that required such courage? Kang Yi was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. Nari used to say that strength is not about power. It is about what you choose to do with what you have. The strongest being in the room is not always the one who can lift the most. Sometimes it is the one who can carry the most. Vorak considered this. My people believe that warriors are forged in battle, that violence creates strength. He paused. Perhaps humans believe something different. We believe that strength comes from connection, Kang Yi said. From the bonds we form with others. We fight not because we love fighting, but because we love those we fight for. Vorak nodded slowly. It was not agreement exactly. It was something closer to contemplation. I would like to learn, he said finally. About humans, about this strength you carry, would you teach me? Kang Yi looked at the legend standing before him, humbled, curious, changed. I am an engineer, he said, not a teacher. Then teach me as an engineer. Show me how humans build their bonds. Kang Yi considered, then slowly he nodded. Okay, but it will take time, years maybe. I have time, Vorak said. For the first time in 200 cycles, I feel like I have something worth spending time on. He left without another word, but Tayla, watching from her corner, recorded everything. She knew she had just witnessed something remarkable, a legend learning humility, a warrior seeking wisdom, all because of one human who refused to let his friend be forgotten. 2 weeks later, Kang Yi was well enough to leave the medical bay. His first walk was to the Hall of Heroes. The corridor was grand, lined with statues and plaques honoring the great figures of station history. Warriors, commanders, scientists, peacekeepers, beings who had shaped the galaxy. And there, in a place of honor near the center, was a new addition. A statue of Yun Nari, carved from silver metal that caught the light like starshine. Her face was kind, her hands outstretched, as if offering help to anyone who passed. Beneath her feet, a plaque read, Yun Nari, human healer hero. She gave her life so others could live. May her sacrifice never be forgotten. Kang Yi stood before the statue for a long time. Park Su stood beside him. Tila watched from a respectful distance. Hello, Nari, Kang Yi said softly. I kept my promise. They remember you now. They will always remember you. He reached into his shirt and pulled out the pendant, the one that said, Together always. He placed it at the base of the statue and stepped back. Together always, he said. I meant it. The lights of the corridor seemed to shimmer for a moment. Maybe it was imagination. Maybe it was something else. Park Su put her hand on his shoulder. She would be proud, she said. I know, Kang Yi said. That is what matters. They walked away, leaving the statue to stand guard over the corridor. But Kang Yi felt lighter than he had in months. The weight he had carried since Nari's death was not gone, but it was different now. Shared, distributed across all the beings who now knew her name. Tila followed at a distance, recording the moment for history. She had learned much about humans in these past weeks, about their persistence, their loyalty, their strange, beautiful refusal to let go of those they loved. She did not fully understand them. Perhaps she never would, but she knew one thing with absolute certainty. When humans loved something, they did not stop. Not for pain, not for fear, not for death itself. And that, she decided, was the most terrifying and wonderful thing about them. The galaxy was vast and full of legends, warriors who conquered worlds, rulers who shaped civilizations. But the story that would be told longest, the one that would echo through generations, was simpler than any of those. It was the story of a quiet engineer who loved his friends so much that he challenged the unkillable, faced the unbeatable, and won. Not with strength, not with weapons, with love. And that was enough. That was always enough.